Nightwing, issue 83. Tom Taylor writing, Bruno Redondo on the art. And this is very much we started this run, this arc, with a very heartfelt issue, with Dick receiving this letter. Not just a letter, but the piece of the will from Alfred, leaving him all this money. And this issue felt very much like not a conclusion to that, but certainly the next major step in that journey that started with that will.
So now you're a billionaire. What are your plans, right? Like, how does this change Dick Grayson as a character? And without spoiling anything, I feel like it didn't change him. It just revealed.
That would be that would be my answer. Nothing. It changed absolutely nothing because he's still Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Right. It's obviously we left off in the cliffhanger last issue, so let's address some of this early part of the issue first. Blockbuster and all the police are outside his new sister's house.
Zuko?
Melinda Zuko, yeah.
There you go.
And obviously she's trying to convince him, hey, I've taken down criminal empires from the inside, I'm trying to do good here. I'm actually kind of ecstatic to find out that my brother's like the guardian of Bloodhaven. This is kind of awesome. And he's like, you know what, I want to believe you, right? But it's kind of a lot to swallow, right, at this moment in time. So let's just give them a scenario that makes sense. So they sort of set up that her and her guy, or woman, or do you know what? It's because she's bald. So from the back, I just thought it was a guy.
Her bodyguard, her head of security.
So they're tied up to chairs till Nightwing's done this to them, and Blockbuster goes chasing them. And I mean, I suppose before we get any further, just they are here. As Nightwing's on top of the roof and the helicopter's behind them.
So good.
Yeah, all this stuff is great. We get like almost like here's a classic Nightwing fights Blockbuster like fight sequence on a rooftop.
You haven't had it in quite a while, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it's great, and he's then it gets to the point where he gets very selfless because he's running at the helicopter with a Gatling gun. And Babs is saying, "No, what are you doing? Go away from the bullets." He's like, "No, I can't let it risk hurting anyone." So he dives at him. We get this full page spread of him diving towards a sea of bullets. And then I feel like Connor's about to praise the swing underneath to the other side of the helicopter. That seems like a Connor praising page to me.
It's a good one. I just want to praise the colors. That's where I thought you were going. Connor's always the one that brings up the colors.
I do love the colors. I love the bold yellow for the first bit that makes it stick out, and then the plain white at the end. They just gives it a separation of the layers that really just it makes sure you stay on the foreground of the deep reds until you're done with that. And then you get to the white.
I just meant for the whole issue. Up to this point, it's pinks and purples and blues, and just there's a mood to it. And then you get to that one, and they all kind of, it stops being like this layered different colors, and they're all those solid, like you just said. So it draws your eye to the action. And
it's a very well paced action sequence with a very big stunt in the middle of it that flows very well. It has a funny beat at the end as well, of course, where the pilot's like, "Hey, just handcuff me, like don't kick me off, don't kick me off."
It's also the guys hanging from the helicopter. It's very Spider-Man, which I feel is
I think as well in the sound effects they use up when he's tying them up. It's so cllose that
yeah. So and we all enjoyed. I mean, I know me and Pete read it. Taylor's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
I did.
Yeah, I all enjoyed that. So like him stretching those muscles here felt pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Daredevil and Nightwing have been compared a lot as well, and I do get a lot of the Wade Sam they run at times in the art.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how much we've compared this book in particular to Marvel. So we've compared it to Daredevil, we've compared it to the Fraction Hawkeye run. Yeah, we're talking Spider-Man.
Well,
but notably, we've compared it to three of the best runs in modern Marvel history.
Yeah, so I was going to say, those are touchstones of comic, like going forward. Like those are the eras of like I'm trying to think of stuff from the 90s that wasn't bad that we still remember. We don't make fun of.
Yeah, I guess my point there was just that, like, yeah, we're compared to Marvel books, but we're compared to three exceptional Marvel books. We're not comparing it to, it's not like Avengers is looking like this every week. Yeah, so this is glorious. Like you say, they end up flying off in a helicopter This is kind of his getaway, and he basically just collapses into his window. And Babs and Tim are like, "Hey, like you shouldn't have been fighting in your condition." Because I'd almost forgotten that because it was 2 issues ago now. But when he went to investigate his potential sister, it was he was going when he shouldn't have been. He was hurt already. That was very much a plot point.
Yeah.
So he wakes up. It's 2 days later, and Babs
always sleep for longer. He slept for 2 days. God, Taylor just gets the dynamic between these two.
Oh, it's full of great moments. Yeah. So Babs gives him an update, on Heartless. There's no sign of him. But obviously his big speech about what he's going to do with his money is coming up. So he wants to speak to various people. So he goes to Leslie Tompkins, talks to her. He goes to the Titans, like his new Teen Titans team. He goes to Lucius Fox. And then, of course, you turn the page and I'm reminded very often that Taylor just gets DC, like the DC universe, and gets DC's characters in a way that a lot of writers, or at least editors, have not allowed a lot of writers to do in a long time.
It is that shared universe concept, right? Where like at any moment this character can show up and it would make sense because of the world. However, it doubly makes sense here with just who Dick Grayson is.
That's what I'm getting at. It's not just that we're getting a cameo from a random other DC character. It's that there's actually weight behind Dick Grayson wanting to see Superman. And I love the idea that he didn't call Superman, because Superman could fly to Bloodhaven in minutes. But no, Dick went to Metropolis.
Right. Climbed all the way to the top of the Daily Planet building.
Yeah. Because he knew, because he's going to go see a friend. And I've always loved the idea of their relationship is that Clark is essentially his uncle, like the one uncle that you can go to at any time for any reason, and they'll be like, I mean, so
there's so much I love about this conversation. I love that Dick wants advice from Superman, right? Because of course he would, because Superman's like the best of us all. He even specifically says, because you're the most human person I know, which obviously I knew would touch Matt's buttons. But then you have like Dick not wanting to talk to Bruce about it. They joke with each other about how Bruce will avoid a conversation even though he'll stand up to Darkseid, which felt like a really human moment. But he's like, no, you know what? Tell him. Call Bruce, right? Or maybe text. Maybe text. That'll maybe be better for him. But my favorite part though is towards the end of the page, and this is the shared continuity here, just like firing off on all cylinders. Is as he's flying away, Superman turns back and says, "Hey, I may be leaving for a while." Right, and obviously, if you read action in Superman, you'll have some context for why and what that's building to. But he says that that's going to put a lot of stress. It's going to leave a lot on John's lap. Maybe give him some guidance. And there's something about the idea of Dick, who was once the kid who was looking up to Superman, having Superman ask him to look out for his son, who's now going to have to take up his mantle for some time. Just it has some feels. It has some feels.
This is what I was hoping, kind of the vibe for the Titans Academy stuff. And it's not that at all. Just the idea of Dick is that he was that kid, and now he knows what it's like. Therefore, he's the best one. And here, of course, that's not what that book is. But in less than a page, Tom Taylor gets that across. And it's perfect.
That's kind of our like Dick going around the DCU for several pages, and the Superman scene's fantastic. All of it very heartfelt. All of it speaks to the character and just his place in the DCU and his connections with all these different characters. And what's so great about the part of that Superman conversation, which was the Batman part, where it's like, hey, I've not told Bruce yet because he'll try and talk me out of it, and they have their jokes about Bruce avoiding conversations, is that was great on its own, but the fact that got paid off by Bruce calling him later in the issue was a stroke of genius, because it gave that extra context and meaning when it came later in the issue. So we have a great little scene with Babs where he's acting all nervous and he's trying to like have a moment with her, and she just kisses him to shut him up and then says, go get him, Boy Wonder. This is the exact line. And it's kind of predictable. Like, I kind of called it she was about to kiss him. It kind of leads up to it. But just fine. This is not a complaint. It's
But it's
Pacing.
his smile
Yeah.
at the end where he goes from like, and Redondo here, just the expressions of the look of worry and the tense, like how tense he is, to she just pulls him in and then he has this big stupid smile on his face after. Like, without words, this team nails it.
Yeah, and you know they tease that he's thought of a name for what he's about to do, which honestly was almost so simple that I don't even know if it needed teased. To be honest, I was expecting something slightly flashier than just the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation, but you know, obviously it works. But yeah, it's basically he's going to try and eradicate poverty in Bloodhaven. He's going to set up this foundation. Obviously, he's spoken to Lucius, he's spoken to Leslie to deal with different sides of it, with getting people medication, with healthcare, making sure that the money's actually going to the people who need it at the bottom of the ladder, as opposed to the rich, corrupt people at the top. It definitely felt there was a little bit of real world politics, sort of just seeped in here in a nice, gentle way, not in like an overly.
No, but it almost feels like a continuation from the themes from Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but not in the. Well, I'll just say it the Azarello way. So
yeah, no. I mean, no, definitely in the Tom Taylor run, where there was that undercurrent there with Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, and all that type of stuff. Here is like, well, what if that billionaire did do good with money?
I don't know if this next part's intentional or just a coincidence. But given that we had Dick going to Superman for advice, something he says in his speech here reminded me of something Superman said way back at the start of Infinite Crisis. There's a debate between Superman and, well, it's the whole Trinity, but it's Superman and Batman specifically in this exchange, where Superman says, we have to let humanity claim the ladder on their own, blah, 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 blah. We can't, sort out their problems for them. And Bruce says, then what are we supposed to do? And Clark responds with, catch them when they fall. And the reason why this reminds me of that is because Dick describes people as too many people have fallen in Bloodhaven and it's time we caught them. And I don't know if that's an intentional pull from Taylor or if it's just a coincidence, because it could just be a coincidence.
It could be. I also took it as a acrobat thing.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
That's how I initially read it, but I remember the conversation you're talking about. It's at the very beginning of Infinite Crisis. It might actually be from Infinite Crisis 0, where they're all around they're all around the what's left of the Watchtower satellite, and it's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah. It's 0, 1,
man, that's that's so in depth. So inside baseball, I don't know. I mean, it could be. Tom Taylor is as we know, he knows the characters inside and out. So
he's a big fan. Obviously, that period is part of his era as much as ours.
Right.
Of course.
So maybe it just works on both, but it does make sense. But I took this here as the kind of the acrobat, the safety net, the whole idea of, working without a net, and what would that mean for, the Graysons and the Flying Graysons rather. So, and so that's why he's like, well, no, we're here to catch them. And no, yeah, I like it. We
also get a wonderful continuation of this Bat Family Chat app on the phone.
So many emojis, Cass.
But she has a lot to say.
She has a lot to say, and she doesn't. I mean, she could just type the words because they're words that are typed. But
it's again, he knows the characters inside and out. So if anybody's going to overuse emojis, it's Cass.
I love that this is the one thing that even Damien can't be a prick about it. Like he can't be a prick about Alfred.
Not that it's competition, but you win.
Yeah, I mean, it still sounds like Damien, but almost anything else that Dick could go be on a TV announcement for, Damien would give him shit for. But this is the one thing he's not going to do.
Yeah, no, of course not. He would have got the tisk, right? Our favorite Damien sound effect.
But yeah, like I say, the Batman calls him and says, you did him proud today. It has it would have been emotional anyway. I would have felt the feels during this final couple of panels of this page anyway. But because they set up how much Batman hates having to phone people, and which, by the way, is the most relatable thing about Batman.
I was gonna say I don't relate to Bruce Wayne almost at all, except for that. That's the one thing.
He's a human at heart. We know this. All right, so the couple of other pages here, one at the end, one just a little bit before the end. We see Blockbuster's reaction, which is basically, "This won't do," or sorry, to put it into wrestling terms, "That doesn't work for me, brother." So he's not going to be happy about Dick's whole foundation thing. He wants crime, to, of course, to thrive, because of course it does. And the final pages, we get more of a tease of whoever this Heartless guy really is. He seems a lot wealthier than I think maybe we had initially assumed.
Well, and apparently he's very familiar with Dick Grayson, so there's a tease.
Yeah, he's got all these hearts and jars like on a wall. Yeah,
as most billionaires do. Bezos, I'm looking at you.
Allegedly.
Is that slander?
Allegedly, just in case. I don't want any. Bezos got a lot of lawyers.
that felt mildly slanderous.
Anyway, this Rate Nightwing, which was a fantastic issue. Not gonna lie, I did tear up a bit towards the end when it got to Pennyworth Foundation and then Bruce calling him.
I did too, but not as much as I did at the letter in the first.
No, I agree. I was bawling basically in that 2-page.
Yeah, that is still
issue.
the benchmark for this run.
The fact that this run though has made me tear up twice in its first arc,
6 issues,
is insanely impressive. Because most runs don't make me tear up once. So fair play, Taylor. Fair play. All right,
Nightwing.
Matt, what are you rating Nightwing?
That's a 10.
Connor.
I'm going 9.5 because this is unfair, but I'm still holding it and judging it against that first issue of this run, and it's just not quite there. It's not quite there.
A solid argument is that it's not quite as good as that other issue that I gave a 10 to, but the all 10s have to be equal necessarily.
Yes.
I mean, if you're the Olympic Committee, no, because a 10 in swimming or diving is different than a 10 in gymnastics. So not all 10s.
These are both
equal.
10s in Nightwing comics.
Yeah, but
they're doing different things though.
But if I look at, say, you know, my favorite movies, right? Like X number of movies have gotten a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not saying everything I've given a 10 to is equal. I can still rank them within being a 10.
Like,
so
is The Room doing different things being a 10 out of 10 than Aliens? Yes. They're 10s for different reasons. Like, entertainment factor.
Solid logic.
I just want to say, anyone listening to this missed out on Pete's face there, and there was a bit of genuine like horror of like realization of where this was going as Matt was saying that will never be replicated.
All right, did we all rate this?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd settled on. Yeah, 10. It's a 10, baby.
There you go.
That's not.
There you go.
It's Punk Day. I'm giving it 10s.